This is Veterans News, a production of the United Veterans Organization of Nassau County. My name is Ed Allman. I'd like to thank Altice USA for providing the training of our crew and for the use of their studio facilities here in Hauppauge. This show is broadcast Mondays at 7:30 on Channel 20 and on Fridays at 5 o'clock on Channel 115. That's Cablevision. Also, the show is seen at various times and in towns and villages throughout Nassau and Suffolk counties, and even in the state of New Hampshire. You can catch Veterans News. In fact, we have seen on so many places that we didn't even know that had public access TV. So thank you, whoever is responsible for spreading Veterans News. Most of all, I would like to thank our crew. On camera 1, Jim Hessler. On camera 2, Al Zabrowski. Our audio director is Loretta DeBrino. Our technical director is Robert Lane, who does a fine job, by the way. Our floor manager is Beverly Allman, and most of all, our director, Al Zabrowski. By the way, if you'd like to ask me a question or make a comment about the show, please email me at veteransnewsuvo@gmail.com. Our guest today is Robert WOHLAFKA. Did I say that right?
WOHLAFKA.
WOHLAFKA. Okay, he's the treasurer of Rebuilding Together Long Island. We'll talk to our guest in a few minutes, but first, here are some of the veterans who died recently. Peter Bruno of Lynbrook, a proud Army veteran of World War II. Maria Galbraith, a medic. This is unusual. Maria Galbraith was a medic in the Polish underground during World War II. She wasn't technically a veteran, but I threw her in here because I thought she cooperated in World War II. Arthur Long, a Comac resident and a member of the 380th Bomber Group, known as the Flying Circus during World War II. Jack O'Leary, a radio man on the USS Yorktown during the Korean War. Harold Stangler, a native of Romania who served in the U.S. Army during the Korean War. Michael McGovern of Patchogue was a proud U.S. Army veteran. Aaron Littman of Huntington served in the U.S. Marines. Lieutenant Colonel Edward Kelly of West Islip was a proud U.S. Marine. Alfred Paduskapa, a Navy veteran from Shoreham. Mary Schweinfest, a World War II Army Air Force veteran from Hicksville. Adolph Sauer from East Meadow was a proud Navy veteran. Edith Panish of Fort Rockaway was an Army WAC stationed in Italy during World War II. Joseph Conady was a Marine who fought both in World War II and in Korea. In fact, he was a member of the Disabled American Veterans. Lastly, Dick Giuliani of Syosset. He was a Navy Seabee during the invasion of Iwo Jima, and he was a good friend of my father. If you know a deceased veteran who you would like to hear mentioned on this part of the show, just email me at veteransnewsuvo@gmail.com. That's the end of our Veterans News. Now it's time for our guest. Welcome, Robert.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show. Before we talk about Rebuilding Together Long Island, maybe we can talk about you and what you did in the service.
All right.
First, what branch were you in?
I was in the Army.
Okay. When did you serve?
I was in from 65 to 67. I was drafted in December of 65.
Okay. What did you get out of the service as?
Spec 4 when I was out in 67, yes.
Spec 4, that's the same as a corporal?
It's the equivalent, yeah.
Okay. Did you go to Vietnam?
Yes, I did. I was there from September 66 to September 67. So I did my year.
Uh-huh. Where were you?
I was at Cameron Bay, fortunately for me.
Cameron Bay in 1967?
60.
Did you see a lot of action?
No, there was nothing going on. we were at the end of a peninsula. We had the Air Force and the Korean Marines north of us, so we were about as safe as you were going to get in Vietnam.
Very good. Was
I
there an
thought so.
airfield there?
Yes, there was an Air Force base also on the peninsula, yeah.
Very good. I should ask you more about your time in the service. What was your job?
Well, I was trained as a supply clerk, and I served for a little while in Fort Sill in a training battery, and then I got my orders to Vietnam, and I was the S4 clerk for the 24th Transportation Battalion. That was an organization that did amphibians and small boats, stevedores and stuff like that. We worked the port of Cameron.
Uh-huh. Do you remember what you did actually? What did a clerk do?
Very, very mundane stuff. Typing the memos and letters, doing the morning report, whatever the officers and warrants in the office needed us to do.
Uh-huh.
So, very unexciting.
Oh. How about the locals? Did you have any contact with the...
No, I did not. The base was pretty much isolated, so there was almost none. We had, the local help on the base, the cleaning, the maids and so on, but that was about it. They came in for a few hours, they left, and that was it.
Did they speak any English?
They had picked up a little bit, kind of a hybrid, a little English, a little Vietnamese, and we got a little Vietnamese, they got a little English.
Oh.
We communicated.
Okay. Where did you go on R&R?
I went to Hawaii. Not very exotic, but I'd never been there. I wanted to see it and see a little civilization again.
Uh-huh.
So I enjoyed it.
When were you there? Were you halfway through your tour?
A little more than halfway. I was probably about June of '67, something like that.
Uh-huh.
So I don't remember exactly, but it was a little past halfway, yeah.
I remember when I went to Australia for R&R.
Mm-hmm. That was my second choice.
That was the only time I skydove. I jumped out of an airplane because I never did it in Vietnam or in the Marine Corps, but I figured if I'm going back to Vietnam, might as well skydive now. What's the worst thing that can happen to me?
That's one way to look at it, I guess.
Very good. So you were in Italy, you were in Hawaii,
Right.
and you had to go back to Vietnam
Right.
to finish your tour there.
Correct.
Did you have the feeling that you really didn't have much to worry about when you went back?
Well, I would have to say yes. Nobody was 100% safe over there, but it was, at that time, the safest place in the country. So it's because of its isolation.
All right.
So I was very happy to be there and spend my year there.
Okay. What happened to you when you got out?
I looked around for career possibilities. I had had a little college before I went in. I had no desire to go back. So I went through a technical school to get into the computer field, and that got me a job with a local bank as a computer operator. And a few years into that, they were looking for computer programmers, the people that write the code. And I applied for it and passed the qualification test, and that was my career for the next 27, 29 years.
Wow.
So it was interesting. No 2 days were the same.
Right.
It was very frustrating sometimes, but it was a good choice. It was a good career.
I imagine computers were a lot different back in the early
Oh,
70s.
they were incredibly different. The machines that I started on as an operator, there's no comparison. Your watch can do more than those. We had a room full of machines, and your watch or your smartphone can do 100 times what those machines could do. It's incredible.
Wow.
What has happened.
Okay. Tell me about Rebuilding Together Long Island. What is it?
It's an organization. It's actually a national organization, Rebuilding Together. Rebuilding Together Long Island is the local chapter, which covers all of Nassau and Suffolk. It's an organization that helps needy people under a certain income level, to get repairs and work done on that, basically to keep them in their home. Most of our clients are elderly, many are disabled. There's a number of veterans included in that selection. They come to us from all sources, all kinds of places, county senior service organizations, church groups, word of mouth. We're getting more of that as we touch more people. We're getting more people coming in through that connection. And we do a pre-screen to see that they're qualified. And if they are, then we proceed from there. We'll do a home visit to determine what needs to be done and what we can do. We are limited by the skills of our volunteers, but as much as possible, we will help out.
Okay. I understand you have a few volunteers, 250?
Well, we have about 250 in the membership roles. Many of them are not active members for various reasons. Almost all of our membership are retired or are senior citizens, so there's limitations in many cases. But we have about, I'd say maybe about 50 people that are actively involved now, some more than others. These are the people that go out and actually do the jobs. And we're keeping up pretty well. It comes and goes. Sometimes we are very busy and sometimes not so much. The winter tends to be slow. And when the weather turns nice, people start to realize, the things that need to be done around the house, and we start getting calls. We're in a bit of a surge right now, but that's fine. That keeps us busy, and we help them get to them as fast as we can.
Can you tell me what kind of jobs you do on these houses?
Well, we'll do a little bit of anything as long as we have the skill set. We try to emphasize safety, health issues, and independence.
Safety and health issues of what?
Of the people we're helping. For example, safety would be, for example, grab bars. Many people, especially in the bathroom, can use grab bars, and many people don't have them. It's a simple enough thing to do. We're happy to do it. Safety also is smoke detectors. Many homes don't have them or don't have working smoke detectors. We're currently working in conjunction with the Red Cross to provide smoke detectors.
Who from your organization will put a smoke detector in a house?
Any number of the people can do the job. It's not a difficult thing. When we go to the home for whatever other needs, we can easily install a smoke detector or more than one if we need to. As far as the independence goes, that a big factor right now is wheelchair ramps. Many people are at that point in their life that they need to be able to get out of their homes without being able to use the stairs. And we will do wheelchair ramps if at all possible. Occasionally, they just don't fit on a property. We just can't do it.
Yeah.
That's all part of the screening process. But we are very happy. It's a very popular job. All the guys like to do wheelchair ramps. We have several queued up right now. We just finished one yesterday. So that's another aspect. And health issues, any number of things in the home. A lot of older houses have drafty windows, stuff like that we can address, replacement of doors sometimes, storm doors, anything of that nature. There are some houses have damage to walls and stuff like that. We can repair the walls, we can replace the walls if we need to, and all quality of life type stuff also.
Yeah.
So it's a wide array. If anybody has any questions, they can always contact us. If we can do it, we'll do it if they're qualified, and if we can't do it, we'll tell them right up front.
Yeah.
And sometimes if we can't help, we can refer to people who we'll do it as a professional, but we're vouching for their reliability because they've worked with us before. So instead of
Right.
just picking a name out of the phone book, at least you'll have a recommendation.
Right.
So
Would you
Yes.
do something like a roof? Would you replace a?
unfortunately, roofs we do not do. Bear in mind again that we're all in our 60s and 70s, and a few are in their 80s. Going
Your
up-
volunteers are in the 60s,
Oh, yes.
70s, and 80s.
Oh yes. Yes.
Wow.
And going up on the second or third floor roof is not something we do.
Yeah.
If you need a roof, occasionally we will get grant money to do roofs, and in that case, we will work down the list and hire
Hire somebody.
contractors to do the
Right.
work. Occasionally, we can do, say, a repair or something like that on a low-lying roof. We might be able to help there, but basically, as a rule, roofs, no.
Mm-hmm.
As I say, once again, we'll do anything we're capable of,
Okay.
and that's just a little too much.
Again, I would like to remind the folks that at the end of the show, during the credits, you will see the phone number for your organization. Unfortunately, during the show, we can't say what the phone number is because there's some kind of regulation against that. However, at the end of the show, during the credits, you'll see a phone number for Rebuilding Together Long Island.
Correct.
So please write that phone number down and call. You do work for veterans as well as
Absolutely.
people that are poor?
Absolutely, yes. Well, again, it's all on the qualification. Now, the qualifications for veterans are set at a higher level, so that we can help more veterans, and in all cases, even if the person doesn't qualify exactly, if they are in need, and if we can, we will help.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Where's your headquarters? Do you have a headquarters?
We have an office in East Farmingdale on Route 109.
It's right near where you live.
In my case, yes, it's right down the block.
Okay.
Which was a total coincidence. I knew nothing about where they were picking the site, but I'm very happy about it.
Right.
So yes, that is our headquarters. We've been there now, I guess about 5 years. Yeah, I think that's about 5 years we've been in that site.
Okay. I met your president, Barbara Nielsen, and Steve Walker, who handles the public relations.
Correct.
They both appeared at the meeting of the United Veterans Organization.
Right.
And they said that for veterans, most of your work has been in Suffolk County, and that you were just branching out to Nassau County now.
Well, the past work, I don't know what the breakdown is, but that could well be.
Uh-huh.
Barbara would certainly know those numbers. We've always considered veterans in Nassau County. It just may be that we weren't getting the applications from
Right.
them for whatever reason.
Yeah.
That's one of the ongoing struggles we have, is getting the word out. We are forever hearing, oh, I never heard of you guys.
I know.
Well,
I thought I knew everything about
Yeah.
veteran services, but I didn't know that
yeah, no, we're there. We've been there a long time. Yeah, in the beginning, we couldn't do a lot. We didn't have the funding, but we do as much as we can for as many people as we can. I believe the number for last year was something like 140 houses we worked on. So we would like to keep
140
increasing.
houses.
Yeah, we'd like to keep increasing that. And many of those would be people that might not be able to stay in that house without some assistance. So
When do you do the work on the house? I mean, you're retired, so you can pretty much do it any day of the week?
Again, just about everybody is retired. Mostly we work during the week because most of the people are all families. There's kids, there's grandkids, and great-grandkids perhaps in some cases, and a lot of family stuff goes on the weekends.
Right.
So we tend to work during the week. And it works out well.
Uh-huh.
Occasionally, we have one or two guys who like weekends, and then we will do a job if we have a sponsor that all of their people that want to volunteer work during the week. We'll do a job on Saturday. We have one coming up in a couple of weeks like that, so that they can participate in the process, the experience also.
There's only 52 weeks in a year? Is that right? 52 weeks in a year?
Last time I
You
looked,
did
yes.
140 houses?
Yes. Now, not all of them were
That's
major
about
productions.
three houses a
Right.
week. And you
Right.
probably don't work in the wintertime. January,
well,
February?
We'll certainly do inside work, and we will do occasionally outside work if the need is there.
Yeah.
Again, going back to the wheelchair ramps, we have cases where someone has had an operation, an amputation, and they're in rehab. They can't come home until they have a ramp.
Right.
Well, we'll do the ramp. We did one of the stories I always tell. A number of years back, we did one the first week in January. The one day the wind chill was 0. We did it. It was
Wow.
a struggle, but we did it. And of course, that was that case. The money had run out. He could not stay in rehab any longer. He lived by himself. He could not get out of the house without a ramp. So we built it for him.
That's very good.
Again, we hope that doesn't happen very often, but if it's necessary, we can do it. So.
Has anything funny happened while you're doing this work on the homes?
I'm not quite sure what would be considered funny or not funny. It's certainly not a barrel of laughs or anything like that, but
Yeah.
we all get along well together, and most of our clients are very appreciative, which is always good to know, good to hear. And then, there's the constant byplay amongst the members. Some of us have been working together for many years, and ha-ha funny, not really.
Yeah, okay.
We're concentrating on the job.
All right.
And,
You're a treasurer of the organization.
yes, I am.
Are you also a hands-on person that does work?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Treasure was just kind of something that fell into my lap because nobody else wanted to do it. I just wanted to help out, and I've acquired some skills over the years, and wheelchair ramps is one I've enjoyed working on a lot. And but every organization needs a structure, and I was asked a number of years back if I would be the treasurer. We have a very able bookkeeper who takes care of all of the details, and I just rubber stamp it mostly.
You have a bookkeeper and the treasurer.
Yes.
Okay.
My job is minute compared to what she does.
Oh.
Yes.
Very good.
And I hope to keep it that way. I hope she stays with us for a long, long time.
Yeah, I wish I had a bookkeeper. That would be very good. I understand Todd Kaminsky, the state assemblyman,
Yes.
one day helped you in Long Beach?
Yes, we met him in Long Beach when we were working on the Red Cross funded project to rehabilitate homes in mostly Long Beach, other areas along the South Shore, but mostly in Long Beach. And he was there the one day we were sheetrocking the ground floor of a house that had been raised and was finishing up the rehabilitation. And we got him on the sheetrock there, and we taught him the screw gun, and he was in there putting those screws in,
Very
working
good.
up a storm. He didn't want to leave. But,
Very good.
yeah.
You mentioned the Red Cross.
Yes.
What is your relationship with the Red Cross?
Well, that was a special case. They were funding organizations to help Sandy affected people,
Right.
Sandy damaged homes, and they had provided a certain amount of dollars for a certain number of houses. So we worked on that. It ran about 2 years,
Oh, really?
and now that terminated at that time. But now we have another relationship. I mentioned the smoke detectors. They get smoke detectors in bulk, and we will install them. They provide them to us free.
Oh.
We install them, and we give them feedback on how many we've done and so on, so that they can track the numbers and see what effect it's having on people's lives. So it's an interesting program.
You told me about the smoke detectors. How about the wood that you use? Is that given to you by somebody?
All the supplies, unless there's a donation like this with the with the Red Cross. All of that is purchased by the organization.
You purchase it?
Yes, all of the wood, all the ramp materials, all of the nails and screws, sheetrock, spackle, everything is all purchased. Now, again, a lot of that, or a good portion of that, is funded by sponsors.
Who do you have as sponsors?
We have a number of organizations. We get some corporate funding, we get some charitable trusts, we get some companies, local organizations. We're doing the job I mentioned before about a Saturday because the people work all week. They are paying for the materials for that job. So we will.
Who's paying for the materials?
In this case, it's the Nassau Bar Association.
Oh.
So yes, we'd like to get those judges up there on the side of the house painting or whatever we need them to do.
Oh, very good.
So this particular job will be a large wheelchair ramp, and I believe there's some inside work also that needs to be done. It's a balancing act to find a job big enough to use the amount of people they're going to bring so that everybody can be an active participant. Right. And you have to be aware of skill sets also. You can't assume people know things when they may not.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Who decides how many people you need for a job and who has the skill sets for it?
When we make the arrangements with the organization, we ask them how many people they're going to bring, because they recruit their people, and then based on that we select a job, and we try to match up skill sets as much as we can. Some groups provide quite a few skilled people. Other groups are very limited in their skill set. We've been fortunate, and we can adjust jobs also, like, again, going back to the wheelchair ramps, when we build them ourselves, when we put all the decking down, we use a nail gun for that. When we do a job with a group that's maybe bringing a lot of unskilled people, we don't bring the nail gun, we let them hammer. We give them hammers and nails and let them go to town. Very good. And they have a glorious time, and it gets done and it's fine.
Otherwise, you use somebody who's familiar with
a pneumatic nail gun. Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the rules of the organization. Any volunteer, if you're not comfortable doing a job or using a tool, don't use it.
Very good.
We always have somebody who can take care of it.
All right. We only have about 2 minutes left. Okay. Is there something that I didn't ask you about that you would like to say? I hope you have something to say.
Oh, I can think of something. No, just remind everybody, don't forget to write the phone number down.
Right, the phone number will be shown at the end of the show on the credits, the bottom of the credits. Please keep that in mind.
We also have a website, if I'm
sure
allowed to say that.
Yeah.
It's Rebuilding Together Long Island, spelled out all the way, .org. And I looked at it this morning just to make sure it was up and working, and it is. And there's information about the organization in there, applications for volunteers, also a way to donate if you'd like to help us out in any way. No donation is too small. We'll take anything we can get.
Very good.
It can always be used.
Very good. The donations, you want the public to donate to your organization?
Absolutely, anybody. The public can donate if you're part of an organization that wants to donate, if your company wants to donate or do a project with us, contact us through that phone number, and we'll talk to you. We'll see what can be worked out.
Okay. And you especially want veterans who need...
And certainly, veterans are welcome and more than welcome.
Okay. All right. That's about the size of it. I hope you can join us next month at the same time on the same channel you're watching the show right now. I think that's it. Okay? Thank you very much for coming.
You're very welcome.
Okay.
Glad to be here.
All right. Thank you. And there's the graphics. There's the phone number.
Right.
631-777-7894.
Yes.
Okay.
Good.